Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Dubai Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host Tahir Majid here. Now, one kind of trouble which everybody wants to avoid is a legal trouble. And just in case if you get into one, what you need is a good lawyer. So in this very special episode of Dubai Real Estate Podcast, I have one of Dubai's most popular and also a TikToker. Yes, you heard it right. He is one of Dubai's most popular lawyers, Arash, joining me on this show. But before I go ahead, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your likes and comments are really appreciated. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please do give us a 5-star rating and review. And Spotify listeners, please follow. Now, let's cue the music. Hi, Arash. Welcome to the show. Thanks for giving your time and being here.
Thank you, Tar. Thank you for having me.
Why don't you start with I know you well, but if you could start with introducing yourself, what do you do and, what's your law firm called?
All right, fantastic. My name is Arash Zad. I've been practicing as a lawyer for the past 20 years now.
Wow.
In Dubai. I've seen the ins and outs of it. I basically have two companies, a Zod law firm, which is my law firm, a legal consultation firm, as well as Zod Law Corporate Services, that we provide our services to companies.
Okay.
My main focus is real estate law, but we handle all type of cases and matters, commercial, civil, as well as other type of
Wow,
services.
that's great. No, definitely, because one thing which everybody wants to avoid is legal troubles, and but still sometimes it's unavoidable. And when you get into a legal trouble, all you need is a good lawyer.
So true.
Yes.
You can prevent that, of course, by seeing a lawyer before you get into trouble.
True.
Rather than waiting and then trying to fix the issue.
That's absolutely right. A lot of times people think, I don't really need a lawyer right now. Why should I take an advice or whatever? And when a problem happens or, they find themselves in some sort of trouble, then is the time they go to a, lawyer. And then, but if they went before, that's right, they could have actually avoided that situation.
And save more money as well.
Yes,
So because I
absolutely.
think the biggest idea or the strongest idea here is that they think they're going to save more money if they don't hire a lawyer or get a consultation. But the fact that they don't realize is that if they end up in a trouble, they have to pay 10 times of that just to cure the situation.
That's true.
So they're going to save more money even if they go for prevention.
So it's always good to consult a lawyer before instead of going after.
Definitely.
So Arash, how does the legal system in UAE and Dubai work? As in, because a lot of people investing over here are foreigners, and somehow, unfortunately, a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about the rules, regulations. But how is the legal system in UAE? What type of law do we follow? How is it?
So, in a nutshell, we have two systems.
Okay.
Mainly, it's the civil law as well as common law.
Okay.
Common law is the law that is in practice in the UK and some other European countries. Civil law is a system that is being practiced in the majority of GCC countries, as well as countries like France.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dubai has adopted the civil law in association or in collaboration with Sharia law.
Okay.
Nowadays, they have the common law as well in certain areas like Dubai BIFC.
Okay.
So they have their own judicial system and they practice their own system, which is the common law.
Okay.
So for foreigners who come here, if they decide to have their business or their practice in the IFC, they will be following the common law.
Common law. Okay.
For other matters, it will be obviously the civil law.
Okay. So it also depends on which place you are based within the UAE, and that type of law would apply.
In terms of companies and disputes, yes.
Okay.
Then because again, don't get me wrong, you can be in Dubai mainland, yet decide to use the jurisdiction of the IFC.
Okay.
If both agree, then you can do that.
If both the parties agree.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And are the laws different in different emirates?
Okay, so we have the federal law,
Okay.
which applies to the whole country.
Okay.
But then each emirates, they have their own system and they have their own sets of rules and regulations,
Okay.
which is different from an emirate to another. Mainly, regulations are different, but then there are laws also that will be issued for each emirate.
Okay. And when you say common law and civil law, I mean, from a layman's perspective, what exactly is different between like a common law and civil law?
It's mainly how you practice and you apply the law.
Okay.
Okay. It's very much detailed. We don't want to bore the listeners
Yes,
with it. But
just
in
like
general,
to
for
give
example,
in a
I'll just give you
very simple
an
terms.
example. Yeah. So in a common law system, they give extreme power and importance to the judge's decisions in higher courts,
Okay.
which we don't have it here in Dubai. So in the UAE, we basically, or in a civil system, we have laws that was issued,
Okay.
and judges will use those laws to pass their judgment.
Okay.
But in a common law, no, they have. Sometimes they don't even have a written law.
Okay.
But if they have a written law, if the judge in a higher court sees that the law is outdated or requires to be ignored, they have the right to ignore it.
Okay.
And they can create a precedence. Yeah. So whatever the judgment will be issued by that judge, which is against what was practiced before, then everybody else should follow that because that is now the new norm.
Right.
See, this is one of the major
Differences.
Yeah.
Okay, but that doesn't happen in civil law.
It doesn't. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Arash, now talking about real estate, right? Real estate is one, field where a lot of legal complications sometimes arise due to people either ignoring certain facts or sometimes, some small mistakes also can cost. Now, especially being in a city like Dubai, where we see a lot of rental disputes between landlords and tenants happening. In my opinion, I mean, I could be wrong, the laws are very clear, but still there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to new tenants coming to the city, because this is a city where a lot of people keep coming and moving in. As someone who comes new to the city, right, and is renting a house, as a tenant, how well protected is a tenant as far as the laws go?
Tenants are very much protected as per the UAE law, especially Dubai's laws. The idea is that people should be informed. They
Right.
should be aware of their rights. So if you are not aware of the right, of your own right, and you just enter into an agreement with someone and you haven't done your own due diligence, you haven't protected yourself or, practice your rights when signing the agreement, obviously the law cannot protect you.
True.
Imagine if I have a gun, right?
Okay.
And I keep my gun at home and I go to a battle.
Right.
I cannot expect this gun or this weapon to help me.
True.
I need to know about it, how to use it, what are the benefits of this, and how I can put it into action, right?
Right.
And then I carry it with me.
Yes.
So there is no point in having a law, but not knowing about it and not using it in your agreement to protect you. The law is quite protective when it comes to the tenant.
Right.
But you need to be aware of
Be
that.
aware of it. But what, in your opinion, in your experience, what are the most common, mistakes you find tenants doing when they are renting a house in terms of their agreements? Something like, which they should have mentioned in their clauses, but something which is very common, but people don't still do it.
One of the things I'll get, from the top of my mind, I can tell you from cases that we normally handle, not being so certain about who pays the maintenance charges.
Okay.
Okay. So the normal practice is that the minor one will be handled by the tenant.
Yes.
The major one will be handled by the landlord.
Yes.
But how you can define minor and major? In my opinion, and normally when we draft the agreement for our clients, we mention that minor is from X amount from 0 to X amount. Major is from X amount to Y amount, right? And then we normally explain about the nature of it. We give few examples, the most common one, just to make sure that everybody, both parties, basically they understand
Right.
what is major and what is minor. So that's one thing. And the second thing, you need to make sure that if you are, for example, if you're renting an apartment or a villa which is furnished, yeah, you need to have the inventory. You need to have the list of all the items that is included, and we normally advise the client to take a picture or a
Right.
video of the whole environment, just to make sure that you're receiving the items in this condition and you're going to return it in the
Return
same
in the same
condition.
condition.
So if something is defected at the end of a day or at the end of the expiry of your tenancy contract, the landlord may say that no, this was in a perfect shape.
Right.
How come you damaged it? And then they will deduct from the security deposit.
True.
So these things needs to be mentioned in the agreement. Aside from that, things that they should make sure identity of the landlord. Okay, if someone comes and pretends that they are the representative of the landlord or
Yeah.
they are the landlord, the owner of the apartment, you should not just trust what they are saying. Ask for some identification. First of all, make sure that you examine the title deed,
Title deed.
if this person is the owner, and then if this person is who is signing the agreement with you,
Yeah.
right? Never pay the rent to anyone else except the owner.
Absolutely.
Okay. If it's a management company, make sure that they have a valid a management agreement in place, and they have the right to collect the funds or the rents on behalf of the landlord. These are the points that they should always
Right.
keep in mind, just to avoid entering into any
Got
issues.
it. Also, off lately, we've been seeing, especially when now the rents have increased since the last 2-3 years, a lot of landlords are sending notices to tenants to evict based on either they want to use the property themselves or they want to sell the property. But there are also a lot of times when these notices are sent just to evict so that they can put a new tenant in.
Right.
Now, in this case, if from a tenant's perspective, what can a tenant do if a landlord evicts him based on, saying that, okay, I want to use or I want to sell, but eventually just rents it out to a new tenant at a higher rent?
So for that, the tenant can go and file a case against the landlord
Okay.
and ask for compensation.
Okay.
And if you can prove that this was rented, which is very easy to prove,
Yes.
then you will get a compensation, most probably by the
Okay.
judge, because the whole idea is that the law and our system, it protects both sides,
Right.
the landlord as well as the tenant. So a tenant can stay in the apartment as long as they're paying the rent and they're not doing anything illegal.
Right.
So you cannot just ask them to leave. If you, the law stipulates the conditions under which you can ask the tenant to leave. So the landlord should not misuse this right.
Right.
And if they try to do that, the law is clear. They can be sued and compensation can
Okay.
be asked.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, from a landlord's perspective, right? What happens? Because again, it's two sides, right? It's
Right.
always not the one side. Now, from a landlord's perspective, a lot of people, again, the overseas investors who invest in Dubai, and especially because of the high rental returns over here, if they have any troubles with the tenant, especially which is non-payment of rent, how easy it is or how difficult is it to tackle a situation like this? Like if someone's not paying rent, what can a landlord do?
So the way is very straightforward, although it's a bit difficult for some people because they don't expect to be as lengthy as it is.
Right.
The reason is that if someone does not pay you, if the tenant does not pay, fails in payment, what you need to do is, of course, you try to solve the issue amicably, try to understand where is this coming from.
Right.
And then if you see that there is no way or the tenant is not replying or they're just neglecting, then you need to serve them a notice and then you need to wait for a month.
Okay.
Okay. If they did not pay the rent within 1 month, then you have the right to go to RDC, the Rental Dispute Center,
Right.
and file a case of eviction against the tenant and it's going to be as easy as that. Yeah, you're just going to file the case, and the judgment will be issued in your favor
Okay.
because it's very clear that this person did not pay.
Right.
You have served them. You have done everything in between to make sure that this will go through.
Okay.
And the judge will issue in your favor.
Okay. And if the landlord is an overseas landlord who owns a property in Dubai, can he still proceed with the case by appointing a lawyer, or he needs to be here personally?
Of course. They can be outside the country and do the power of attorney, even notarize it online.
Right.
They don't need to do the
Right.
old-fashioned way.
True.
And a lawyer can do basically everything for them.
Right, right. Okay, now coming to power of attorneys, we've also seen a lot of, times people sometimes have either old power of attorneys or it's been misused, right? How does the power of attorney work exactly?
So in Dubai, we don't have an expiry date for a
Okay.
power of attorney. Although you can put a date that, okay, until this date, this power of attorney is valid. Normally, power of attorneys for banks does not work. The normal power of attorney, banks normally they ask you for the account holder to come and sign the paper in the
Right.
bank. For properties, it's normally 2 years of validity.
Okay.
That up to 2 years normally they accept. If they don't, then you need to go and get it. You just do a testified true copy
Okay.
at the notary just to make sure that this power of attorney is still valid.
valid.
Nobody has canceled it.
Okay.
The only tricky part about power of attorney, of course, if the content of the power of attorney is drafted in a professional and the right way, then the main concern will be this, that the person who has issued the power of attorney went and canceled it.
Yes.
From the paper, you cannot tell.
Right.
Okay. But now, in light of this new power of attorneys, which is the digital ones,
Yes.
there is a barcode and a QR code.
Right.
You just scan it, and you see that this power of attorney is still valid.
Oh, wow. So even on a power of attorney, similar to a title deed, you have a QR code which you can now scan
Yeah.
and then get information.
The digital ones, because some of the notary publics, they're still
Yes.
issuing the sticker ones.
Sticker ones,
The
yes.
sticker ones, you need to go back and validate it.
Right.
But this one, you can just scan it and see that it's still
And
valid.
are there any restrictions on giving power, that you cannot give power to someone, or you can, when it comes to issuing a power of attorney to someone
For property purposes.
for property purposes?
So a power of attorney, if you're issuing for property, then you need to make sure that the property detail is clearly specified
Right.
to the fullest details.
Okay.
Otherwise, they will not accept it.
Okay.
If you are giving a power of attorney to someone, you need to consider that the 2 years limit.
Right.
And also, what I can add is, for example, if you are allowing someone to sell a property for you, you need to make sure that the sentence related to being able to collect the fund
Yes.
will be there.
Right.
It has to be clearly mentioned that he can sell and he can receive the fund.
Okay.
Okay. It's very important when you are giving a power of attorney not to be misused in any,
Yes.
in any event, is to make sure that you know whether you want that person, the attorney, to have the right to sell to himself
Right.
or no.
Okay.
Because normally the templates will cover everything.
Right.
Then you need to read it and make sure to remove anything that is not in your favor.
Right.
If the person or the attorney takes a power of attorney which says that he can sell to himself, he can just take over the property,
Okay.
right. and put it under his name or her name,
Okay.
rather than selling it to someone else.
So that is
So we have
something
to be
which you
careful
have to be
about
very
these.
careful when you
Yeah.
issue. Right. Okay. And so one thing, Arash, which we've been seeing that in general, Dubai and the UAE is moving a lot towards digitization, towards being paperless. Like you don't get any physical power of attorneys, even the online power of title deeds and power of attorneys, are getting digital. Everything's on a QR code. How, with your experience, because you've been practicing for a very long time, how is this change and how good it is, or what do you feel about, things getting completely digitalized?
Okay, so I think like everything else, technology-wise,
Yeah.
there are pros and cons. In my opinion, this is inevitable that we go toward the technology and we update our systems. Okay, going paperless, it's given. Now, what are the cons of this fact? Uh, Being able to misuse the system. We need to see how secure the system is. Of course, I'm not a technical person when it comes to this. You know, we
Right.
need to check with the cybersecurity people. However, the possibility of being hacked, possibility of breaching information will be there. I'm sure you know the UAE government. They are doing their best to
Of course.
secure the data and
Yes.
all that. But then, if you solely rely on technology without having human beings involved in it to just to safeguard and
Yes.
secure, it's going to be a little bit challenging and tricky.
True.
But if you cover all these bases, then I think it's amazing.
Right.
Going back to the same topic of power of attorney, it did us a huge favor.
Yes.
It's amazing for us,
Yes.
because when we used to ask for a power of attorney, it used to take a long time,
Yes.
let alone the expenses.
Yes.
People living overseas,
Yeah.
they had to notarize it, go through so many departments to get it
Absolutely.
attested. It took us sometimes months to
Wow.
receive the attested power of attorney. But now, today you decide,
Few hours.
in few hours you can give us
Yes,
the power of attorney
absolutely.
with a fraction of that fees.
Yes. And also you can do an online power of attorney.
That's the what
So
I'm
how
referring
does
to.
an online power of attorney work?
So a power of attorney, we have several methods. Okay, normally you had to do it, you notarize it at the country that you live,
Right.
or if you're here, you need to go to Dubai Notary Public. But now you don't need to do that. If you are a resident and you have a UAE pass
Yeah.
application, then it's very easy.
Okay.
We submit everything online. We submit the request. You will receive a notification on your UAE pass. You just open your application, just click confirm and approved.
Right.
It will reflect in the notary's system that
Wow.
you're approving the power of attorney. And a staff from the Dubai Notary Public will call you. This is where I told you the human
Yes.
being will come into picture
Yes.
just to secure,
Yeah.
right? So someone from the Dubai Notary Public will call you to make sure that you're the person who is confirming and approving, and they will explain to you you're giving a power of attorney to a so-and-so person. You will say yes, done. In the next 5 minutes, you you will receive the power of attorney in your email.
Wow. And what if someone is a non-resident? Is not a UAE resident?
Yeah, if you are not a resident, then you cannot use the UAE pass, of course, because
Right.
you don't have a UAE Emirates ID. So in that situation, there are again two ways. Number one is that you record a video
Okay.
of yourself holding your passport and explaining about the power of attorney that you want to
Okay.
give. That video, you will send it to the notary, and then they will release the notarized
Okay.
power of attorney. The second method is that they will arrange a team call,
Okay.
a video call, and you will be asked about what you are signing, and
Right.
if you confirm and you show your your passport,
Right.
then they will do it again.
Wow. So even if no matter where the person's sitting in the world,
Just a video call
a
and that's
video
it.
call and so that government is making good use of technology.
Of course, it's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
You won't believe how fast everything is
Right.
happening right now
Yeah,
because of
that's
this.
true. That's true. Do you think this whole digitization and being online has the turnaround time or how quickly a case gets resolved or the whole legal process in general, has it cut short on time in general?
Perfect question. See, I'm so grateful for this.
Yeah.
And COVID had
Yes.
so many negative impact on
True.
people
True.
and on their families, on their health. But if you can imagine one positive side of it, would be this:
Okay.
that the whole court system now, it works on remote basis.
Wow.
So judges, there's no physical hearings like before that we go and we attend
Okay.
physically in the court. Okay,
Okay.
it's all happening remotely.
Okay.
The judge will attend at the hearing. Lawyers will be sitting in their offices. Claimants or defendants will be sitting in their places. Okay,
Wow.
they all go online. The judge will start asking questions, and that's it. It made it extremely faster. So previously, I'll give you an example. In civil cases,
Yes.
okay, we had a hearing. The next hearing will be after 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Wow.
Now, because of this, we can have hearings every 3, 4 days.
Oh.
So it's very, very fast and efficient right now.
Wow. So for any case, you don't really need to go physically to the court.
Sometimes we have to.
Okay.
Sometimes the judge needs to.
Yeah, I mean,
meet
in
the
extreme
person.
case, but the normal,
normal is always online.
always online.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So even if someone is traveling, someone is there, they can still attend.
Of course.
You know,
It doesn't need
makes
you
it
to
much,
be in the country.
yeah.
So
easier.
previously, a case would take around minimum of 1 year, 1.5 years
Right.
to get a result and a judgment issued. Now you can get it in 6, 7, 8
Wow,
months.
that's like
Yeah.
almost 50% of the time
Yeah.
cut short,
Yeah.
which is great.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Amazing. Nice.
Sometimes it's too quick. We have problem as lawyers because we don't get the chance to prepare for the next hearing.
Yeah.
You see, it's
Right.
so fast. It's so quick.
So wow, that's great. Arash, one thing which a lot of people have, keep asking me also is because again, Dubai being such a global city and people from all around the world, come here, invest here, especially in real estate. How does inheritance work in Dubai when it comes, especially to properties?
See, inheritance previously, according to the old law, 2005,
Right.
because as I told you at the beginning, right? So the system that we follow is civil law in addition to Sharia
Sharia.
law. So if a person who has a property in the UAE passes away, this person, whether he's Muslim or non-Muslim,
Right.
Sharia law will apply.
Right.
That was the rule of thumb.
True.
Okay. But now, in accordance to the new law, which was passed in 2020,
Okay.
basically the changes can be explained in this way: that for Muslim, of course, it's going to be the Sharia law.
Right.
There's no change to
No
that.
change for that.
If they are a non-Muslim,
Yeah.
then in the event of absence of a will,
Right.
again the Sharia law will apply.
Okay.
But if the deceased has a will in place, and in the will it talks about which law should be applied in case of his death with regards to his UAE properties, then the legal heirs can request the judge to use the laws of his home country.
Home country. So no matter where they are from, whether
Yeah.
they're from the UK, US, India.
No. The only thing is that you need to bring the law of your
Okay.
own country. You need to attest it, translate it, and go
Right.
through all the attestation process. And then you need to submit it to the UAE court and request the judge to use this law
Right.
instead.
But can someone make a will if he's a non-Muslim? Can he make a will for his property in Dubai?
Of course they can.
Okay,
A non-Muslim, they can.
and that can be. Is there any sort of restrictions like in the Sharia law or no? No, I mean,
No. So they're a non-Muslim, right? So they
Right.
will not be abide by the Sharia law
Right.
as long as they have a will. They have the option of doing it in DIFC
Okay,
or doing it in Dubai courts.
okay. So even
can
in
be
Dubai
done.
court, they can.
Muslims, they cannot do in
Of course.
DIFC. Non-Muslims, they can do in any of these two.
Okay, but when if they want to make a will, how easy it is and how much does it cost to do that?
It's just a normal process that
Okay.
first of all you need to give an inventory of everything that you have, make a list of it, provide all your documentations, meaning your identification details, marriage certificate,
Right.
Birth certificates, everything. You gather everything and give a detail of your full assets to your lawyer,
Right.
and then they will just give you the first draft. You will read it, you're happy with it, and then you go to the notary public and get it registered. If you want to do it through DIFC, it has a different procedures,
Okay,
but it's the same. DIFC is more costly.
okay.
Dubai court is much less, but process-wise, they are almost the same.
But what is the difference whether in registering a will in DIFC or in Dubai courts?
I normally advise my clients to do it in Dubai courts.
Right,
Okay, some they're more comfortable because DIFC it's common law.
right,
Okay, and it's designed for non-Muslims.
right.
So some people they prefer to
So
do
maybe
it.
people who come from countries which use the common law might be more comfortable.
Yeah, they're more comfortable because of that.
Right.
Because it's their
There's a similar
system.
law system. Right. Okay. So and Arash, one more thing, right? A lot of people now. Okay, of course, I of course understand what the Sharia law is. For someone who's not from a GCC country, could you explain a little more on what exactly the Sharia law is like?
Yeah. So Sharia law, the biggest differences is the share of male and female,
Right.
which is different. Normally, in a civil law, they will be equivalent, like equal shares.
Right.
But in Sharia law, they give more shares to male member than the female. That's number one. Number two is that there are certain people that they get certain percentage. For
Right.
example, wife automatically gets 1/8
Right.
of the assets,
Okay.
and then girls get half of boys' assets
Okay.
in terms of the ratio. You see, so these are the main
Right.
differences. And then we have the custody and guardianship and all that matters that the Sharia is different
Okay.
than the
Got it. So
common.
if someone, God forbid, has a property in Dubai, is a non-Muslim, but does not have a will in his home country,
This
and
law will apply.
this law will apply. And if he's not made a will over here, then
Yes.
this law applies to them.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And how, say if someone has a will, or say, or as per Sharia law, how easy or how difficult is the whole process of going through an inheritance?
In case of
In case someone passes away, has some assets, okay, and has a will, or is a
okay,
Muslim
executing it, you mean.
executing.
Okay. All right. So again, going back to the same thing that I
Yeah.
explained, you need to gather all those documents which I told you,
Yeah.
all the identifications and all the legal documents. In addition to the will, needs to be translated, attested all the
Right.
way, and then this needs to be used to file a case in Dubai courts.
Okay.
You file a case, an inheritance case. The judge will look into it. If they have any questions, they ask. They require more documents, they will ask. And then that's it. They will issue the heir certificate, which shows the name of the heirs. They confirm the name of the legal
Right.
heirs, as well as the percentages that they will use. Unless if you have a will again and you're a non-Muslim, then you're going to bring your will and you're going to submit it to the court.
Okay. And people who inherit, do they have to pay anything, or do they pay any tax, any sort of, transfer fee? Say if it's a property, like, do they have to
No.
pay anything on
No,
inheritance?
because we don't have a tax system on assets,
Right.
And this is not considered as a sale.
Right.
So it's legal heirs that they are receiving it. So there will be no taxes on that. There will be normal court fees,
Admin
lawyer
fees.
fees. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they won't be paying any taxes on anything.
No.
Okay. Now coming to taxes and all, a lot of people, especially if they're coming from the West, US, UK, you see a lot of people owning assets under corporations or companies, especially for tax benefits. But in Dubai, because there's no tax, right, that trend is slightly different. So what's the difference if someone wants to own a property or assets under a company or individual name? What are the pros and cons? Like, how does it matter, or does it even matter?
Okay. There are so many reasons that one could opt for this kind of solution, like
Right.
putting the property on the company's name. Number one, some people they don't want their personal name
Right.
to show on a property,
Right.
because if you put it on the company and then you sell the company owner or the company name will just change in the title deed. So
Right.
your personal name will not reflect there.
True.
That could be one reason. The second reason could be if the company has multiple owners, right?
Right.
And the property is only instead of putting under one person's name or putting all those names on the title deed,
Right.
you will just register a company with all those people in them.
Right.
Okay, and then you introduce this property as the asset of the company.
Okay.
And then again, another reason that you could do this is that if you have a company and you want to show this company as more valuable, of course, the more asset this company has, the more value this company could have.
True.
Right? So instead of putting under your personal name, you just put it under the company's name.
Right. But then you also need to factor in the costs and upkeep of the company if it's just a holding company. If someone is not really doing an activity, but it's just, for the purpose of ownership, right? How different is it from owning in an individual name or a
So
company's name?
ideally is this happens when people want to have a company.
Right.
So there are other purposes for it,
Yes.
and not just the mere fact that they want to have this property registered under it, because otherwise then they have to pay the license fee, renewal fee, office, all of
Right.
that. So maybe it's not going to be feasible at the end.
Yes.
So if you have other purposes for this company, meaning that you are working with this company actually,
Right.
then it makes more sense to have it registered under the company's name.
Got it. But otherwise, it will not make any other difference in terms of
Not that I
any.
can think of. When, especially to stay anonymous,
Yeah.
sometimes people use offshore companies.
Companies.
You see,
Right.
because no one knows who's
But
the owner of the
what
company.
what happens then to coming back to the inheritance part, right? Is there any kind of complications, or it's easy, difficult when it comes to if it's held in a company?
So that's a bit more complicated because if an individual dies
Yes.
and his name is on the title deed,
Right.
so it's very straightforward. The heirs will go and request,
Got it.
to receive the title under their name. But if it's on the company's name, not only you need to do this process, you still need to go through the process of changing the commercial registry of the company as well,
Right.
so that the license also will change. The commercial registry will also be updated
Right.
to reflect the new owners. See, so it's a bit more complicated when that happens.
Okay. And are there any restrictions on how many people can own a property in Dubai? One single property, or
That I'm not sure of. I don't think there will be any limits as such,
Right.
but we need to check that with Dubai Land Department.
okay, and when it comes to again going back to the inheritance topic, right? When it's a company and there are inheritance issues, right? If a company is held in partnership with someone else, if it's not a family, can there be some sort of legal complications or challenges to that?
No, because every partner has their own shares.
Right.
Yeah? So this will be only dealt with that particular share or shares,
Right.
which needs to be updated. The other partners, they will maintain their shares and the same ratio. Nothing will change for them
Okay.
if they are not part of the family.
And when it comes to ownership in a company and individual, right? If the company is doing any business, can that business liability come on that particular asset if it's held in a company?
So if you are, it depends on the type of the company. So
Okay.
if you are a limited liability company, so
Yeah.
the liability of the company is limited to the capital of the company.
Okay.
But if you are a sole establishment, then the liability will extend,
Okay.
okay, to everything. Again, going back to even LLCs. Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, if the company has debts,
Right.
the person who will file the case against the company will demand payment.
Okay.
If the company does not have money in their accounts to pay, then they will put their hands on that property.
Okay.
They will say, sell the property on auction
Okay.
and pay us. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
So if you put your property under a company's name, you have to make sure that the company will not face such issue.
Okay.
Otherwise, the property could be endangered.
So it's better to have an LLC just in case if someone is
Even an LLC,
right.
even an LLC, okay? But if there is a debt,
Right.
this debt needs to be paid, right?
Okay.
If the company doesn't have money in their account, where this money will be collected from?
Right.
From that property.
Okay. Got it. So you need to make sure that the asset is
The
protected.
difference between LLC and sole establishment, the only difference is, or the main difference, is that in LLC, the capital of the company and the assets of the company will be liable.
Right.
In sole establishment, not only that, the owner's personal belongings as well as assets
Right.
will be backing up those debts and liabilities.
Okay.
That's the main difference.
Main
between-
difference.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, Arash, coming to the laws, like we've been seeing a lot of laws being changed very frequently in the last few years, especially in the last 4, 5 years, 3 years. We few weeks we hear this new law is passed, right?
That's true.
So what's your take? I mean, what is your take on it? I mean, how soon uh, or how much has the legal system changed in the last few years?
See, a country that you see many updates on the law,
Yeah.
it indicates that the government is not sleeping.
Yes,
They're
absolutely.
aware of what's happening,
True.
and they're trying to keep updated.
Updated.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And how they can protect their nation is by having strong, updated, modern laws in place.
Right.
So I look at this and perceive it in a very, very positive way, because many years ago we did not have this many updates.
Right.
But as you correctly mentioned, in the past few years, you see huge amount of laws been updated. This proves to us that the country is growing, and the rulers have this wide vision of where they are heading to, and they are preparing the government and people to receive this. I think it's a very, very positive thing. It's difficult for us as lawyers because we need to always keep updated with the new laws.
New laws.
But another strong point here, Tahir, is that people should not really rely on their own knowledge
Yeah.
and think that they know about the law, because some people, they do that, yeah? So they go to the library and they buy the codes of law.
Yes.
And they think that done, they are lawyers,
Right.
yeah, or they're judges. So they know about everything. It's not like that. You need to be aware of every single updates that is affecting you, your rights, your family, your business, everything.
Right.
And if you don't have an idea of what has been updated, you could do a very grave mistake.
Right. True.
So getting themselves updated, it's very,
very
very crucial.
Right.
Yeah.
But is there any way someone as a layman, just to check, is there any sort of website or somewhere where they can read about these new laws or?
Yeah. There's a very strong source that I can recommend, and that is my TikTok.
Okay, yes, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yes.
So that's jokes aside, but that's what I'm basically
No,
doing.
that
I'm
is
trying
something-
to keep people updated.
What you're
with
doing
that.
is really amazing, and I would really, people listening to this, watching this, if they don't follow you on TikTok or Instagram, that's something which they should do immediately. I feel.
Yeah, but aside from that, official gazette
Yeah.
is where all the new laws and updates will be published.
Okay.
You can get a membership and receive a copy of that.
Right. And you think a lot of these laws which have changed, were these like old laws which have changed, or have they become better? Because a lot of people, when it comes to things like oh, you can't do this in Dubai, or this is this cannot be done in Dubai. This is there are a lot of these misconceptions, and until those people come to Dubai and see Dubai, they realize, oh, it's not what we hear.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of misinformation.
True.
So you think these laws which have changed is also to as the country is advancing and becoming more open, these are actually helping?
See, there are two type of laws that we receive every month.
Right.
Yeah. So normally, what happens is that there are old laws
Right.
that needs to be updated and add to it or remove points from it to be more suitable and
Right.
applicable to our situation. And then there are laws that never exist.
Right.
Okay, so these laws come into the picture because of certain changes in the system, in
Right.
the government, in the country. So, for example, there are new authorities, there
True.
are new ministries,
Yes.
there are so many new events, concepts,
Yes.
blockchain, cryptos,
Exactly.
etc.
Yes.
Yeah, that have been introduced in the past years. So they have to introduce new laws just to legalize and regulate this
These
new
activities
concepts.
as well.
So they never existed. These are all fresh and new.
Fresh and new laws. Arash, how does one go about being a lawyer in Dubai? As in, how do you actually become a lawyer in Dubai? I mean, obviously you study law, but
Yeah.
do you study only in Dubai, or someone who studied somewhere else? How does it work?
So the first advice is not to become a lawyer. Okay. But if finally you decide to become a lawyer, then no, it's not restricted to the UAE. Many years ago, we didn't even have a law university, of course.
Right.
So people had to go outside the country and graduate and come back. But now we have universities and all.
Okay.
If you get your bachelor degree, which is a minimum, outside the country, you need to get it attested, and they have to be a reputable university, of course. You get your certificate, you bring it here, and then you can find a job at a law firm or to start to. And then when you do that, you need to get yourself registered with Dubai Legal Affairs Department,
Okay.
which is part of the ruler's court.
Okay.
Your law firm will give a request to the department. They will evaluate. They will check your certificate, make sure everything is okay, and you get yourself registered. And then there will be courses every year that you need to take so that you can, update your
Update
information,
yourself.
and they will make certain assessments.
How much with these new laws changing, how regularly you have to update yourself?
Oh, you have to update yourself on regular basis.
Yeah.
On regular basis.
So your learning just doesn't stop here.
Well, actually, let me rephrase. Yeah, it depends on your niche.
Right.
So if you are a type of a lawyer that handles basically all type of matters, then yes. Regularly you need to update yourself because there are so many updates.
So many updates.
But if you are focusing on a certain aspect of law, say for example, IP registration, trademarks and all, or if you're handling only wills, or if you're handling only real estate, okay, then obviously you just need to get the updates pertaining to that particular law.
Right.
For that, it's not that many updates, of course.
Got it.
So it depends on how wide and broad is your practice.
Right. Okay. Got it. And now coming to, property transactions in Dubai, the normal sales which happen, we discussed about rentals, but a normal, obviously either it is a sale between a developer and a buyer, or it's two people individually, selling a secondary property, right? Now, when it comes to a developer sales, a lot of times, obviously, the process is, okay, you select the unit, you book the unit, you pay to the developer issues booking form, SPA, right? Now, in general, a lot of people just sign the SPAs directly, okay? Because they see this booklet and they're like, who's going to read this? It's
Where should I sign?
Where should I sign, right?
And they made it easy. They put the stickers, just sign here.
Yes, just sign here. Now, how important is it to actually go through the whole document?
I'm not trying to create a market for lawyers,
Yes,
but it's extremely important to do that. If you have the legal knowledge to assess the agreement yourself, you have to do it yourself. Otherwise, you have to ask a lawyer or any professional who can do that for you. You might tell me that, but Arash, even if we find anything or any mistakes, developers will never change them for you.
Right.
That's debatable because it depends on the size of your investment. If you are a big fish and you're buying a bigger number of units, then the developer could look into changing the agreement for you. But if you're a smaller investor or you're going for 1 or 2 units, then yes, the developer will not change. But it's always good to know what you are signing.
Yes.
To be prepared for it, rather than not knowing and then being surprised. That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, no one is forcing you to buy there.
True.
If I am signing with a developer which has a bad reputation and the agreement is drafted very poorly, what forces me to buy this property in this project? If I see that the agreement is very bad and my risks are quite high, I'll just go find another property.
True.
Buy from a more decent developer.
Yes.
You get my point?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's always good to read and understand what you are
getting into.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No, that's true. And when you're doing a secondary market transaction, now usually the market practice is we sign a Form F, which is the standard template by the by the Dubai Land Department. Now, again, but there also you can add a memorandum and certain clauses. How important is it to actually put certain clauses in there to protect, either the buyer, seller, or both the parties?
Good point. Let me just say this here because I see this nowadays a lot. Yeah. So people use the Form F and then they use the addendum.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is being done by real estate brokers.
Yes.
And the first clause in the addendum says that the Form F is just a template, ignore it, and you just take everything as per the addendum,
Right.
and this supersedes that.
Yes.
It's not like that. Land Department already started notifying these brokers
Yes.
and giving them penalties if they continue doing
Yes.
that. That's number one. Number two, the addendum will never supersede
The Form F.
the Form F. If there is any contradiction, the Form F will supersede.
Okay.
That being said, now let's talk about the addendum. The addendum should basically cover all the points, bits and pieces that was not discussed in the Form F
Form
template.
F. Right.
So there are so many things that we can imagine
Yeah.
in different scenarios that we need to add, especially if it comes to mortgage buyers.
Right.
You know, the mortgage clauses should be extremely protective for the buyer, just to make sure that, you know, you are defining and stipulating all the events that could go wrong, that could put the buyer in at risk.
Okay.
So we need to add all those
Right.
details.
So from a layman's perspective, if something which is not covered in the Form F needs to be in the addendum.
Yeah, so the major things is already there in Form F,
Yeah.
and then the rest will be added in
Right.
the addendum.
Okay. Now, another thing is, right, when usually you buy a property, whether, you know, you buy an offline property, you first get an okud, then a title deed once it's ready, or in a ready property title deed. Now, in a lot of other countries, the practice is to have the complete history of the property and chain of documents, right? Which we don't see this in Dubai usually, because you just get the title deed and that's it, right? Is it needed for the new buyer to have any sort of history of the property?
I don't see the need here. I think countries that you're referring to, I know a few of them as well. The registration and the transfer process is not as straightforward,
Right.
and crystal clear as it is here.
Yes.
Many things could go wrong.
True.
So for that, the title deed will not be as strong as a title deed here.
Right.
In the UAE, I don't see the need for that,
Right.
to be honest with you.
No, yeah, that's absolutely.
First of all,
the-
it will make it very much smoother and faster. No one can challenge the title deed.
Right.
The government is doing that for us. We
which is
just
great.
come and sign, and that's it.
That's it.
We own our property.
Yes. No, that is there because it's first of all less hassle.
Yeah.
You have the title deed. That means your property is yours, free of any litigation, encumbrance, anything. And you know, and again, you can just verify it over a QR code.
That's it.
Yeah.
The validity and everything.
That's great. Now, Arash, last thing I want to ask you.
Sure.
What we see a lot of bloggers, travel bloggers, you know, real estate people on social media. Very few lawyers. What made you actually, get onto social media and create such valuable content? Because it's something which, I keep seeing regularly, and it's every time you get to learn something. What actually made you do this?
What actually made me do this? I'll be very honest with you. Many years ago, I realized that because us as lawyers, we know about the law. So
Yes.
all the topics we are very familiar with. Yeah. But a few years ago, I realized that there are very, very basic information that has a huge impact on people's life.
Right.
There are people that they are not aware of it.
True.
Sometimes I get comments on some of my videos that, do you think people don't know this? And I will always tell them, you will be surprised.
Yes. True.
Because there are so many things
Yeah.
that people, they don't know about their daily routines and laws that will affect their daily routines.
Right.
Okay. I felt the need that someone has to do this.
Right.
Someone should give back to the society in one way or another. Yeah?
True,
This is
true.
my way of giving back to
Absolutely.
the society by educating people about what basically affects their life, their family members, as well as their businesses.
Right. And how much has this whole growth on social media impacted your business?
In terms of brand awareness, I
Yes.
think it had a good impact in a way that people know me as a lawyer now.
Right.
And when perhaps they struggle with something, they contact me, whether just ask me a question and I answer them as far as I can. or if they not, they will just come and engage me in their legal matters.
That's great, great. Arash, I think that was a great, informative session with you. I mean, I
Thank
also
you.
got to learn a lot of things. Where can people contact you if they need any help legally?
Sure. My social media handle is Arash Zod across all the platforms.
Yes.
And my website is also arashzod.com. They
Great.
can send me a DM or they can send me an email.
Great,
I'll
great,
try to
great,
answer
great.
them.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Arash,
My
for
pleasure. Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you for
And
having me.
thanks a lot. See
Appreciate
you.
it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode. I hope you really found it helpful and useful. If you need to get in touch with Arash, I'm leaving his contact details down in the show notes. You can contact him or follow him on his social media at Arashzad. And if you need to get in touch with me, I'm available across all social media channels at Tahir Majitia. And I'll be back with new episodes very soon.